She rolled her eyes like I was being dramatic. "It's just dinner with my ex," she said, the way someone might say it's just coffee or it's just air. I smiled. Not the kind of smile that says everything's fine, but the kind that comes when you realize the storm has already passed. You're just standing in the rain out of habit. I didn't respond right away. I just looked at her, standing there by the kitchen counter, still in her work clothes, scrolling through her phone like she didn't just drop a grenade into our living room. "My name's Ethan, and I've been married to Laura for 7 years. Not perfect years, but real ones. We met in our late 20s, fell in love over shared dreams and cheap takeout. I used to think we understood each other better than anyone. But somewhere between buying a house and paying bills, that connection thinned into polite coexistence. Lately, it felt like we lived parallel lives. Same address, same bed, but different worlds. It started small. The casual sarcasm. The size when I tried to talk about work. The phone always turned face down. I told myself she was just tired, stressed, distracted. But every excuse felt thinner than the one before. When she mentioned her ex Ryan the first time, it was just a name. "He got promoted," she said once, scrolling through her messages. "Good for him." I didn't think much of it. We all have pasts, right? But soon, Ryan's name became a regular visitor in our conversations, like a ghost she wasn't ready to let go of. I noticed the way she softened when she talked about him. How she remembered funny things from years ago. How she'd say, "You wouldn't understand, it's an inside joke." And maybe she was right, I didn't understand. I didn't understand why she still needed to keep that connection alive when she had me. The night before that dinner, we sat on opposite ends of the couch. The TV was on, but neither of us was really watching. She was texting, and I caught a glimpse of a familiar name lighting up her screen. "Ryan again?" I asked quietly. She didn't look up. "He's just a friend." I didn't say he wasn't. "You're jealous," she said, almost laughing. God, Ethan, it's not a big deal, but it was. Not because I thought she'd cheat, but because every message she sent him took a piece of what used to be ours. When she finally told me she was meeting him for dinner, I asked, "Why?" She shrugged. "We're just catching up. You're overreacting." I tried to explain how it looked, how it made me feel, but she met every word with that same dismissive smirk, the kind that says you're the problem, not me. So I stopped explaining. I watched her get ready that evening. Hair done, perfume I hadn't smelled in months, a spark in her eyes that had nothing to do with me. She stood in front of the mirror adjusting her necklace, and for a second, I wondered if she realized how cruel this was. But she didn't. Or maybe she didn't care. She looked at me through the reflection. "Don't wait up. I'll be back late." I nodded. "Sure." Then she gave that line, light, careless, like it meant nothing. "It's just dinner with my ex." That's when something inside me finally went quiet. No yelling, no begging, no emotional scene. Just silence, the kind that comes after months of pretending not to notice the cracks. I smiled, calm and steady. "It's just a divorce." She froze. The perfume bottle slipped a little in her hand. For the first time in a long while, she looked unsure. "What are you talking about?" she asked. "I'm talking about the same thing you are," I said. "Something that used to mean more than it does now." She stared at me like I'd grown a second head. "You're being ridiculous." "Maybe," I said. "But at least I'm done being blind." She left anyway. Door slammed, engine roared down the street, and I sat there on the couch listening to the echo fade. Funny thing about moments like that, they don't come with fireworks or closure. Just a kind of stillness that feels both heavy and freeing. I looked around the house. Our pictures, our plans, all the little things that once made it feel like home. And I realized it had been a museum of memories for a long time. I just refused to admit it. That night I didn't cry, didn't drink, didn't text her. I just sat there finally seeing what had been in front of me for months. The end wasn't coming. It had already arrived quietly, disguised as just dinner. Laura came home close to midnight. The headlights swept across the living room before fading into silence. I didn't move. I was still sitting there, half in the dark, the soft hum of the refrigerator filling the quiet. She stepped inside, heels clicking across the floor, perfume still fresh like she'd been somewhere that made her feel alive. For a second I thought she might notice how wrong it all was. Instead, she said almost casually, "You're still up?" "I told you I wouldn't wait," I said. She frowned, confused by the calm in my voice. "Ethan, don't start." "It was just dinner." I nodded slowly. Yeah, and this is just the end. Her face twitched. What does that mean? It means I'm done trying to convince you that respect matters more than nostalgia. She laughed, short and sharp. You're seriously divorcing me over dinner? I stood up, walked past her to the kitchen, and poured myself a glass of water. The sound of it filling was louder than either of us wanted it to be. You've been somewhere else for months, I said finally. Dinner was just the part you stopped hiding it. She sighed, set her purse on the counter, and crossed her arms. You're overreacting. I'm not cheating on you. I never said you were, I replied. But I think you stopped being here a long time ago. The silence stretched. I could see the gears turning in her mind, how to deflect, how to make it about me again. It had always been that way. Every time I tried to explain how I felt, she'd turn it into a character flaw. Sensitive, paranoid, insecure. But that night, I didn't give her the chance. I've already spoken to an attorney. I said quietly, everything will be handled fairly. You can stay here until you figure out where to go. She blinked. You're not serious. I am. For the first time, she didn't have a comeback ready. No sarcasm. No roll of the eyes. Just silence. The kind that reveals everything words can't. She looked around like the house had betrayed her, like it should have warned her this was coming. Maybe it did in all the ways she chose to ignore. I didn't hate her. I wasn't angry anymore. The anger had burned out somewhere between the first excuse and the last dismissive shrug. What was left was something clearer, like the calm after a long storm when the air finally feels breathable again. The next morning she tried to talk, said she didn't mean to hurt me, that it was innocent, that maybe we could go to counseling. I listened. I really did. But it was like listening to a movie I'd already seen too many times. The same apologies, the same promises, always ending the same way. I'm not mad, I said. I just don't recognize us anymore. She looked small then, like the weight of her own choices had finally caught up. So that's it? Yeah, I said softly. That's it. I packed a bag that afternoon. Just a few things, clothes, my tools, a framed photo of my dad. The rest could stay. Some endings don't need fireworks. They just need honesty. When I left, she didn't follow me to the door. She stood at the kitchen counter, staring at her phone like it might tell her what to feel. I spent the next few weeks at my brother's place. He didn't ask many questions, and I didn't offer many answers. Some nights I'd sit outside with a beer, thinking about everything we'd built and how quietly it all fell apart. It's strange. When you finally let go of something that's been breaking for years, peace feels foreign at first. But then it grows. About a month later, she texted, I miss you. I looked at the message for a long time. I almost replied, almost let nostalgia take the wheel again. But then I remembered that night, her rolling her eyes, laughing at what she thought was harmless. So I typed back, I miss who we used to be. Then I deleted it. I didn't send anything. Some messages don't deserve an answer. Instead, I turned off my phone and sat there watching the sunset bleed across the sky. For the first time in a long while, I felt like myself again. People talk about revenge like it's loud, yelling, breaking things, getting even. But the real kind, the kind that lasts, is quiet. It's peace. It's walking away when they expect you to beg. She taught me that. Not through love, but through loss. And maybe that's what all this was for. To remind me that sometimes the bravest thing a man can say isn't, I forgive you, or I'll fight for you. It's just one calm sentence, said with a steady smile. It's just a divorce.